just did this whole video on my other phone, well, on my phone, and it just deleted, but whatever. Okay, so this is the story time of how I robbed a celebrity slash, I guess, rapper. He made songs, but nobody listens to them. But yeah, this is how I robbed him 2 times. So I started off because he DM'd me and we kept on like talking about like, oh, when are we gonna link, and like something would either happen, like, oh, he was busy or he fell asleep or I was busy, so it just like was never working out. And finally one day he was like, okay, like, I'm free today, are you down to chill? So I said yeah. And then he came, he picked me up in a G-Wagon. I was like, oh, okay. So he picked me up in a G-Wagon, and I already told him like, oh, I don't smoke, like, I only drink. So he bought me a bottle, and then we're driving, you know, we're talking. He was cool, and then he takes me to a hotel. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I see that there's a pool, so I'm like, oh, like, I want to go swimming. So he takes me down to the pool and I go swimming. He didn't even get into the pool. He's literally just like sitting there watching me like a weirdo. And then my phone died. I was like, oh, I need to go charge my phone, like, can we go back up to the room? So he's like, yeah, you could go up there. I'm gonna go get food. So I go to the room and I see his MCM bag, and I'm like, should I go through it? So I go through it, and then I see an envelope from TD Bank that had $10,000. And I'm like, oh my god. So I start freaking out. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just take 200 because I'm an idiot. So then I call my friend, like, bitch, like, I just took $200, there's 10,000. She's like, okay, take 200 more. So I take 200 more. I'm just sitting there on the bed waiting for him to get back, and then he comes back, and you know, I'm acting like everything's good, whatever, and then he ends up getting me an Uber home. So I leave, and that's the time I got 400. So then I get the 400, and then he never noticed. He kept on asking me to chill, and then yeah, that's the end of that story. So that's the first time I robbed him. Never noticed, whatever. And then one day I'm like chilling with this guy, and I'm just telling him that story, and he's like, oh, like, we should set him up. So he was gonna give me like drugs to roofie him, and we were gonna roofie him. Basically, he was gonna rob him. Then somehow it changed into like, oh, we're gonna kidnap him, you know, like make him go to an ATM, get out money. And I was gonna get 20,000, he was gonna get 10, and his other 2 friends were gonna get 10. So like, basically we're gonna rob him for 50,000. And then he was like, okay, like, whenever he hits you up, just hit me up and we'll do it. So then one day I had a really bad day, and I was just mad as fuck. So I wake up, I'm like, you know, I need money, like, I need to be out, I just need money. So I'm like, okay, it's happening today. So I hit up the celebrity, and I'm like, oh, are you trying to chill today? So I called the guy. He said yeah. So I called the guy. I'm like, okay, today's the day. He's not answering me. I'm calling him like 10 times, no answer. I'm texting him, no answer. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not chilling with him for nothing. So then I call my friend. I'm like, okay, I need a favor, like, we're gonna set up this guy, whatever. And he's like, okay, bet. I call my other friend who's also friends with him. He's like, okay, yeah. So they're all down for it. Then he was like, okay, what time? Just hit me up when you're ready. So I text him around like 10. I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. And he ends up getting the Uber. I checked the Uber because he shared like the where it's at, and it's taking me to New York, and they're not trying to go to New York. So they're like, no, he has to come to Jersey, whatever. So then I'm like, oh, like, maybe we should just link later. Like, I don't want to go all the way to New York. Like, I'm trying to stay in Jersey. He's like, no, like, we're gonna come back to Jersey later. I'm like, okay. Like, I had no idea what we were even doing, where we were going. So I get into the Uber. I get there, and this guy comes out of this building, and is like, oh, are you here for whatever? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, where are we? He's like, oh, this is 6ix9ine studio. Like, 6ix9ine records here, Trippy records here. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're just in there, we're drinking, it's a vibe, he's recording. I'm like, okay. And then I'm starting to drink, but I didn't want to get too drunk though, because, you know, I want to like be aware for when we're gonna go back and when the plan's gonna happen. So oh, another thing is, they told me that you could drug people with eye drops. So I went to the store before I met up with him, and I got eye drops, extra strength, because I'm like, I really want to make sure he's done for the night. So yeah, so I got the eye drops, and he just keeps on drinking, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh my god, like, because he keeps on asking him to pour him drinks. I'm like, there's so many opportunities for me to drug him, but I'm not going to yet, because obviously we gotta get back to Jersey. So I'm not doing any of that. I'm just chilling, whatever. I'm like, oh, when are we gonna leave? And then finally, like, at like 1 or something, he's like, okay, like, let's go now. So me, him, and his friend get into his car and we drive to Jersey. I'm like, why is his friend here? I thought we were gonna drop him off. We never ended up dropping him off. So then we get to the hotel and they like he takes out money out of his bag, and I'm like, oh, bet, easy, like we could just take the bag and be out. And then we go to the hotel. His friend is still in the same room, and we're in the living room, we're drinking, and I'm just waiting. Okay, when is he gonna leave? When is he gonna leave? So I tell my friends, I'm like, his friend is still here, like I don't know when he's leaving. So I text him the address and the room number, and the plan was they were gonna come to the door, and then when they're at the door, they're gonna call me. I'm gonna say, hold on, like my brother's calling me. My phone ran out of storage. Okay, so like I was saying, the plan was I was gonna say, oh, my brother's calling me, I'll be right back, and then I open the door so they could come in. And yeah, so I just text them the room number or whatever, and then his friend ends up leaving. So then he takes me into like the bedroom part, and it was like a big ass room, so there's a door from the living room in the bedroom. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta drug him soon. So I say, oh, like I look ugly, like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, like go fix myself. So I take his cup, switch it with mine so that he thinks his cup is still there, and then I take the cup, I go to the bathroom, I do 7 eye drops because you're supposed to do like 4, but I really wanted to make sure he's just done. So I did 7 eye drops, I walk back out, I'm like, oh, like let's take a shot. So I pour it, I switch back the cups, I pour him a shot, I pour me a shot, and then we take the shot. And now I text my friend, I'm like, okay, how long is it supposed to be till he falls asleep? They're like, oh, 30 minutes. So they're on their way now, and they're 30 minutes away. So I'm like, okay, by the time you get here, he'll be done. And then he keeps on trying to do stuff with me, and I'm like, oh my god, what do I say? So I was like, oh, I feel sick, like I feel like I'm about to throw up. So he starts getting me water and all this. So then I'm stalling, and then they said they're here. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, and then they call me, so I'm like, oh, hold on, my brother's here. I mean, my brother's on the phone, I gotta go answer, I'll be right back. So I hold the door open, and then when I'm walking out, I see that his friend is in the living room. So I'm like, oh my god, I thought his friend left. And then I open the door, I hold it like this much so it wouldn't close, and then I'm talking to him, I'm like, oh my god, there's a problem, like his friend is still here. So they're like, okay, like I don't know what to do then. And as I'm talking to them, he walks out and sees me talking to them, and it's like 3 a.m. like nobody is there, obviously they're talking to me. So I'm like, oh my god, and he just keeps on walking, he doesn't say anything to me, he just leaves. And I'm like, oh my god, and he closed the door behind him. So now it's only his friend in there. So I'm like, okay, like let's just go rob his friend, whatever. They're like, no, you go in, like just take the bag and let's go. I'm like, what the fuck? So whatever, I go, I'm like knocking on the door, I'm like, hello, why'd you close the door? So he opens the door, he sits back down on the couch. I go and I'm pretending I'm on the phone with him. I'm like, oh, you want your bag? But little did I know he was actually on the phone with him the entire time. So I just looked like a fucking liar. So I go, I grab the bag, and I throw it to my friend, and we just go running out of the hotel. And we're running, and we go into the car, and we get into the car, and we're pouring everything out of the bag. There was nothing in the bag. There was no money. There was condoms. That's it. There was paperwork, but like that's literally it. So I guess at some point he took the money out. I don't know when, because I know he had money. That's how he paid for the hotel. He took it out of his bag and put it back in. So at one point he obviously took the money out. But yeah. So I ended up leaving with less than I even got, because I ended up forgetting my bag there. I forgot my hoodie, I forgot my charger, like I literally forgot everything. Yeah, so then hours passed, probably like 6 a.m. I checked my phone, and I got a text from him saying hey, and I go on Instagram, and I got a DM from him saying hey. I'm like, oh no. Like I literally just left, so I'm like, obviously he knows. And I'm like, hey, like I'm sorry, like my ex, like he showed up and he just like made me leave, I don't know, blah blah blah. And he's like, I know you're lying, like I know you're trying to set me up, there are guys with hoodies on, I saw you talking to them, like shiesty. So basically, yeah, he threatened to call the cops. He said, oh, when I get the security footage on Monday, like you're getting arrested, blah blah blah, give me back my bag, I'll meet you somewhere, whatever. And I'm like, no. So I just told him, oh, I'm 16. I'm not 16, but I said I'm 16 so he would be scared to call the cops. And he just stopped answering. Well, he kept on hitting me up. I just never answered, and nothing happened. So it's probably been like 2-3 weeks, nothing happened. So yeah, that's the end of the story time. My friend kept the bag because I felt bad that he came all the way there just for nothing, basically, because we thought we were at least gonna get 1,000 at least. He's not even selling the bag, which is fucking dumb because the bag is like $800 to like $2,000. I can't remember. I think it's like 1,000 though. So yeah, that's the end of the story time. Follow me on Instagram, King Serena. And what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and like, comment, subscribe, and follow my friend. You gotta pop your head in. That's her foot.
YVNG.rose_, you know the vibes.
I'll put it there. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye. And what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and like, comment, subscribe, and follow my friend. You gotta pop your head in. That's her foot.
YVNG.rose_, you know the vibes.
I'll put it there. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye.